Hey, Shalom Israel, this is the I.S.U.P.K. Louisville class. Share the class. Tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black. They talked about it on ESPN. We're going to talk about it tonight. Shalom. We're the I.S.U.P.K. coming out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA. My name is Officer Hamak, and I would like to welcome you to the I.S.U.P.K. Louisville class. And tonight's topic is going to be the world's biggest secret. The real Jews are black. Now that's a very bold statement, seeing that the so-called Jewish people claim to be the children of God. You look at their lives, and they're seemingly blessed of God. They pretty much own Hollywood, the Diamond District. But many people fail to look at the other side. They are heavy in the porn industry. They're in cults, Scientology, all kind of crazy philosophies and religion, the Kabbalah. But the Bible, we're going to come out the Holy Bible tonight and prove that the real Jews are black. Now, recently here on ESPN, a prominent cable network channel, there was a situation where a football player from the Philadelphia Eagles, Deshaun Jackson, came out with a statement on social media, if I'm not mistaken, and he was quoting something from Adolf Hitler from a book stating that the real Jews are black. And one of the hosts, Max Kellerman, I believe that's his name, an Edomite, he was saying that Deshaun Jackson should apologize because that's misinformation, low information. Basically, he's calling him a low life. If he's calling him, saying it's low information. You see what I'm saying? But we're going to read exactly where Deshaun Jackson got that information. He basically got it from Commander GEN.YAHANNA. You see what I'm saying? He got that information from the Hebrew Israelites. 1 West 125th Street. Look, man, here's the thing. You got to understand that we are in the end times. Now, the truth is coming out in the secular realm. Many people like Ice Cube is saying, oh, we the Hebrew Israelites. Kendrick Lamar and even, what's his name, Waka Flocka Flame.
Kodak Black.
Who that?
Kodak Black.
Kodak Black. All these people on the under, they know. They know. It's been many prominent people in this kingdom that came in the I.S.U.P.K. and they left because they could not separate themselves from the white man's kingdom. So if I could, let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. We're going to prove in the Bible that the real Jews are black. You understand? Share the class because many of your relatives need to know this. Because in that Christian church, they're going to say that this right here is the real Jew. This right here is a homosexual, man. I mean, in real life. For real. Ain't that how y'all say it? For real? This right here is a homosexual. His name is Cesare Borgia, right? He was son of the Pope. He had sex with his sister, killed his brother. He was a homosexual. And that's who they saying is the Jew, the king of the Jews, right here. You know what I mean? That's why the so-called Jewish man, he don't subscribe to the New Testament because he knows that that right there is a lie. But here's the thing. We're going to prove, according to Scripture, according to history, according to religious commentary, that he's lying. So if I could, let me get that scripture.
Jeremiah 14 and 2. Judah mourneth.
Okay, Judah. Jew is short for Judah, the tribe of Judah and the kingdom of Judah, which was comprised of the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Judah mourning. Who's in mourning? It's the so-called Jewish man in mourning. He's the president of the Eagles football team. Hollywood, the Diamond District. He's not in mourning. And it's not because he's just so blessed of God. You trying to tell me that Weinstein and Epstein, those names, those Jewish names, they blessed of God? Those were pigs, according to, the court system. Molesting little girls, raping women to get a role in Hollywood. They try to get a role in Hollywood, so they got raped.
Right.
You trying to tell me those are the children of God? Nah, man. It's one thing if you oppressed in the system and then you live like that because you have been oppressed. But these people are not even oppressed. They blessed. Seemingly. Right? Go ahead.
And the gates thereof languish.
The gates is the protection. Right? You see Judge Ginsburg, and she's a Supreme Court justice. She's a Jewish person. Their gates ain't languishing because they passing the laws they want to pass. Homosexuality in the Supreme Court. Abortion. Their gates is not languishing. But the black community, think of a gate. A gate is meant for protection, right? That's the leadership of black people. The Christian church was supposed to be the gates and the leadership of black people. But they languish. Now, in this time, we have not heard the Christian church's voice on Black Lives Matter or the coronavirus. They have been silent because they know that they languish. But Commander GEN.YAHANNA, he is the true leadership of Israel. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on earth today. Right? Go ahead. No sweat. You got to know this, Israel. You got to know this.
They are black unto the ground.
Damn. It said the real Jews are black unto the ground. You ever met a person they call black in the hood? Man, where black at? Where black? Tell black I want my $5. Every hood got a black because the real Jews are black. That's not, that's manifold because it's a condition, but it's also the skin color. Because if you go into the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 30, Job says his skin is black. You understand? Now, here's the thing. Okay, if the real Jews are black, why is these people calling themselves Jewish? Think about that name, Ish. Ish is a suffix. Kind of like saying boy-ish. Okay, you're not really a boy. You just have boyish ways. Right. Like a tomboy. The same thing with this Jewish man. The real Jews are black. We just brought that out in the book of Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Now, knowing this, why is it that we lost our heritage? Why don't most black people know that we are the real Jews? Let me get the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 1. This is why.
Book of Jeremiah 17 and 1. The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron.
The sin of Judah. See, when we sin before the Most High, and sin is not following the laws of God in that Bible, not eating pork, not eating shrimp, crab, not having sex with white women, white men, not worshiping false gods. This is a sin, man. This right here, you worshiping this in 2020? Man, you a goddamn fool. You understand me? That's why it says right here, read that from the top.
Jeremiah 17 and 1. The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron.
Man, think of a pen of iron. It's hard. Go ahead.
And with the point of a diamond.
A diamond is the hardest element. It cut through any material, right? It's saying, the Most High is saying that this sin is so grievous, it's not going to be able to be rubbed out. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead. Let's see, do it.
It is graven upon the table of their heart.
Right. Go ahead.
And upon the horns of your altars.
We're going to go all the way to verse 4.
Will their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills?
And that's the thing about it. We got to understand that we had a heritage. But the Most High is going to do something to our heritage because we sinned against him. Continue on.
O my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's what it was, because the children of Israel, we are a royal nation. But what happened was, since we sinned before the Most High gave our substance that he gave to us to the heathen nations. That became the spoil. Go ahead.
And thy high places for sin.
The high places is like the government, man. Just like we had a history of where some of our leaders sinned before the Most High and it cost us drastically. Go ahead.
Throughout all thy borders.
Mm-hmm.
And though even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
You shall do what?
Discontinue from thine heritage.
So when Deshaun Jackson comes on ESPN and he says that the real Jews are black, or they quote what he said, that's the reason why people like Max Kellerman, they can't understand this Bible verse right here. We was discontinued from our heritage. That's why he's so excited to learn that, man, I'm not just black. I'm not just a nigga. I'm not an African American. I'm not all this weird stuff they say I am. I actually got an heritage, and it can be validated in them scriptures. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee.
Right. The Most High gave us that heritage. You can't give yourself and call yourself Jewish. That's not the children of God. The children of God, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians or Native Americans, pick your poison. You know, one means savage, one means named after a white man.
Right.
Those were proverbs and bywords we was called. That was in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. You see what I'm saying? The Jewish man, he can call himself anything. You know what I mean? That's how you know that they are not the real Jew, according to the Bible, because they don't fit none of the curses in Deuteronomy 28.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Now, some of y'all heart got hurt because you secretly love your oppressor and you want things to go as normal, and you watch some religious program and they showed you some Ethiopians with some tallit on, and you thought those was the real Jews. No, the real Jew is black and Tanisha, Brianna. Those are the real Jews by blood, not a religion, by blood. You understand? And if I could, let's go to the book of Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 6. Because those people living over there in Israel today, I just seen a post where they had a homosexual Jewish man wearing a rainbow yarmulke. Now the Bible clearly states, according to the law, that homosexuality is a sin. So if those are the people of God, why are they allowing sin to run rampant in the Holy Land?
Right.
Black people, we don't make the laws. That's why you see all these different protesters out there trying to get the laws changed. Because we really don't have any powers, because we really slaves. You understand? We was brought over here in 1620, Jamestown, Virginia. What's it? 2020 now. 400 years. We're going to go into that scripture too in the Bible. Not that we putting dates, but it's something about that you got to understand. It's awfully funny now in this time. It's being revealed that the real Jews are black after 400 years. Just like the Bible says. You know what I mean? Let me get that scripture.
Zechariah 9 and 6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
Look up the term bastard if you could look that up for me, Baba Krishad. A bastard, you know, is somebody illegitimate. In Ashdod. Where is Ashdod? We're going to look that up too. You got to know this, Israel. Share this class, because this might be the most important class your people that don't know this truth might ever see. Right? You got that definition. And you got to know this. Share the class. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, get in contact with us. Go to that Facebook page, One West UPK Louisville Facebook page. Contact us, man. We're going to have a class as far as like where people can come and ask their questions real soon, man. We could use your support also, your financial support, man. We're about to get it in here in Louisville, Kentucky. Let me get that definition of bastard.
an unpleasant or despicable person.
Okay, that's a derogatory meaning, but let me see if let me see what else they got on Salaki. I think it said something about illegitimate, something like that, maybe. They got many different terms for bastard. The one I'm looking for is like illegitimacy, somebody that's counterfeit. That's what I'm looking at.
No longer in its pure or original form.
Yeah, we can accept that one. So the real Jews, the so-called children of Israel, with the Jewish man is saying he is, man, that's not correct, because we're gonna go into where one of their own people, Arthur Crowster, he said in order for the white man to be a Jew, according to the Bible, it would have to be 13 tribes, not 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to go into that too. You understand? So if I could, let's go back to that scripture in Zechariah 9:6.
And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
A bastard is somebody that's illegitimate. It's not in its purest form. Now, if I could you look up on your messenger that thing I sent you about Ashdod? Where is Ashdod? This is in your Bible in Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 6. Where Ashdod is. It says that a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. So you wonder why the real Jews, which are black, don't know that we the Jews of the Bible, because a bastard has taken our identity. He's dwelling in Ashdod. He's over there in our land right now, in Israel. You got that?
Ashdod is the 6th largest city and the largest port in Israel.
In where?
In Israel.
In Israel. The scriptures say that a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Go back to that, Slaki, if I could, Zechariah 9:6.
Zechariah 9:6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
Right.
And I will cut off the pride of the Philistines.
Most High Christ. You drop that. See, that's what you got to know. These people, like Max Kellerman and all these people, always talking about the Holocaust and all that, talking about the anti-Semitic. They're actually trying to say anti-Shemitic. See, Noah had 3 sons, Japheth, Ham, and Shem. Now, you're going to see the confusion. And we know that God is not the author of confusion. But these people call themselves Ashkenazi Jews when Ashkenaz came from the lineage of Japheth, not Shem. That's how you know they're counterfeit. We're going to bring those scriptures out too. And if I could, let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1. And we're going to show you the lineage of Ashkenaz. So you can't be from 2 different sons. They should know that if they was true priests and prophets and the children of God. But being a counterfeit, they didn't do their studying. You understand? Let me get that. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1 through 3. That's where we're going to go.
Genesis chapter 10 and 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah.
Okay, the sons of Noah. He got 3 sons. You ever heard of that show, My 3 Sons? That's old school for some. But that's where that come from. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Right. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now we're going to look for the word Ashkenaz. Where did Ashkenaz come from? Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Right.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tyrus.
Okay. And
the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz.
Okay, who?
Ashkenaz.
Now, who did the lineage come from, though? It said from Japheth, right?
From.
So that's where Ashkenaz come from. So to say that you are Ashkenazi Jew does not make sense. Talking about anti-Semitic. What they're saying is anti-Shemitic. Anti-Shemitic. Right? Drop that, and we're going to look at the lineage of Shem. Now, this is how you know that this is very high information. You know, that damn devil tried to say Deshaun Jackson of the Philadelphia Eagles had low information. Basically, he's calling him a lowlife. Well, in the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we giving out very high information. You know what I mean? This is not misinformation. This is coming out the Bible, and we're also bringing out very pertinent references to back up the scriptures in the Bible, right? Let me get that scripture. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 22.
Genesis 10 and 22. The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphax, and Lud, and Aram.
Okay, now drop down to 31 for the sake of time. It's talking about a whole lineage of names. We're going to find out where Shem comes from. Slaki. We're going to find out where the Abram comes from, because blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we come from the lineage of Shem. Now, what the so-called white man don't understand is he do too. So why is he saying he come from the lineage of Ashkenaz? Right? Go ahead.
Verse 31. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, and their lands, after their nations.
Mm-hmm.
These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations and their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
Okay. Now, that's saying that, wait a minute. Did you read 31?
31 and 32.
Okay. 31, 32. Okay, now go to Genesis chapter 11 and verse 10. So that's the lineage of Shem. Now, we know that Abram came through the lineage of Shem. So for the so-called Jewish man to say he's an Ashkenazi Jew is totally false, according to Scripture. Because the lineage of Ashkenaz came through Japheth, not Shem. See what I'm saying? That's how you know he's an apostle. The scriptures say that the Lord is not the author of confusion. Right? Let me get that.
Genesis 11 and 10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphax 2 years after the flood.
Okay, drop down to verse 27.
Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram.
That's the key word right there, Abram, which became Abraham. That was the lineage of Shem. You know what I'm saying? So when they say anti-Semitic, they're talking about anti-Shemitic. Now, how can you be anti-Shemitic in Ashkenaz? When Ashkenaz comes from the lineage of Japheth, and Shem, Semitic, comes from the lineage of Shem. You see the confusion in that? That's let you know that the so-called Jewish people is lying. And that's why we don't know who we are as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black.
Right.
They talked about it on ESPN. You see it coming out in the end times. Now, you don't want to come to class and hear us say it here in Louisville. Now the Most High is bringing it to your news and your sports telecast on ESPN. It's undeniable. The Most High is going to get this truth to you so you are not without excuse in the day of wrath. You should understand that you have a prominent place in the Most High's eyes if you are black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. And with that comes responsibilities. That means we got to live by the laws of God. Now, you're not going to get taught that in the Christian church. So you need to contact the I.S.U.P.K. That's the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. Since 1969, we've been teaching this truth, man. And we not stopping. We rolling till the wheels fall off. You feel what I'm saying? The world's ending. Got the COVID-19, the riots. Who knows what the Most High is going to bring next? You want to be on the right side of the Most High's grace. Not listening to these people like Max Kellerman lie to you and say you African American, you got low information. Nah, man, we bringing out some real heavy, high-minded information tonight, according to scriptures and according to their own scholars. Yeah, you know what I mean? We referencing things that they put in the print. They trying to keep us in confusion so we don't know who we are. The Most High said in Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 1 that we was going to lose our heritage, but we're going to regain it back also in the last days. And that's why on ESPN you hear them talking about the real Jews are black. They utter it at least, right? Any more on that? So if I could, we're going to get some statements by some very influential people in history. Now, Deshaun Jackson got this quote from the source that we're about to go to. If I could, go into your messenger and look up that one on Adolf Hitler. Now, if you don't know anything about history, Adolf Hitler was a dictator in Germany. He tried to say that the white race that was the Aryan race and they was the pure race, and they tried to overtake the whole world. Of course, the Most High didn't allow it. And he made a statement because, see, at that level, he knew something that a lot of people neglect to acknowledge and realize. We're about to bring it out. Like I said, share the class. It's very important, man. We're bringing out some very vital information that can change the very lives and destiny of your family, man.
Hitler's confessions.
Right.
Hitler said even in his death, he will start World War III. One of his soldiers asked how. Hitler replied, "The day mankind finds out what I was trying to defend this nation, Germany, from then that's the day World War III will start."
Okay. Go ahead.
For on that day, mankind will learn that I was trying to save my nation from the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Jews.
Okay. Now, this right here is up for debate. You know, when it really comes down to it, it's a groups of people that's trying to keep the truth that black people are the real Jews. Go ahead.
For if the Americans win the war, they will conquer the world and forever be a slave to the Jews, and they will try to conquer God.
Now, this is what them so-called, that so-called Max Kellerman was getting offended about in this book, Hitler's Confessions. This is a quote that he was talking to a soldier, right? Go ahead.
Do you know who America has in its possession?
Wow. Who does America have in its possession? Go ahead.
No, the soldier replied. The Americans has the jewels of God. The Americans have stolen God's precious jewels. What do you mean his precious jewels? The soldier asked. Hitler said America has stolen the Jews.
Okay. Now I thought Christopher Columbus and all them people came over here on their own free will. Ain't they Jews? You see what I'm saying? Or there was Jews on that boat. Them boats was financed by Jewish people. So how was they stolen? Who was stolen according to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68 and brought here on cargo slave ships? So-called black people, right? And then they even had captive the native Indians and the Latinos. We've been stolen. You steal it from man according to the scriptures. I'm paraphrasing. You're supposed to die according to the scriptures. Go ahead.
The Negroes, they are the true Hebrews.
Wait a minute. What did he say?
The Jews of God, his jewelry. The Negroes are the true Hebrews.
So according to Adolf Hitler, a German Teemanite, white man, he's saying that the Negroes are the Hebrews, right? Ain't that what he said?
Okay.
So, now, of course, coming from a Jewish person, they're going to look at their history and discount anything that a so-called Nazi say. Even though the Nazis, yes, they had brutal tactics. I'm not saying you're supposed to take everything that a Nazi say or a German person say as gold, but why would Adolf Hitler need to lie about this fact? He was privy to such information. He had a vast library. He was the leader of a nation that was ruling or on the verge of world domination. Why would he lie about this statement? In fact, some people don't know about this story of Adolf Hitler and Jesse Owens, the runner in the Olympics. You know what I mean? He knew who the real Jews was. That's why he gave Jesse Owens some props, and so to speak. That goes into a whole nother story. But look up that history with Adolf Hitler. Now, this was a man that the so-called Jewish people said hated black people. Know what I mean? Why did he shake Jesse? What's his name's hand? Salaki, the runner. I guess my mind's a little foggy, but look that history up. Who that runner was? If I could read some more on that, I think. That was the end of it. Most High in Christ. Now go to the next one too. Now this is what Deshaun Jackson didn't bring out. Now he could corroborate that particular statement with another statement by another prominent world figure back in the day from Egypt, right. Gamal Abdel Nasser, the second president of Egypt. This is what he had to say concerning the so-called white Jews.
If I could, like, what people don't understand about, like, before we went into the transatlantic slave trade, like, they knew we was the Jews,
right.
But the thing about it is they didn't believe what we believe. Just like they don't believe what the Jewish man believed, how he just the chosen of God and he should run everything. Like, they knew we was the Jews, they just didn't believe what we believe, like how deep we believe God only on our side. He don't love y'all and stuff like that. That's why all this stuff coming out that these leaders back in the day was already, they was saying it. Back then, they just didn't have the same belief. They was Christians, they was Muslims, you know, they was all other type of religions, and they had their beliefs. But they knew if somebody was the Jews, it was them niggas in the ghetto in America. That's all in Christ for that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what y'all need to understand tonight. Tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black, man. If you're a black, Latino, Native, American, I guess that's what you want to say, you are the children of God, the real Israelites according to that Bible. And that's what they're trying to hide from you. They want to call you African American, they want to call you spick, engine, all these proverbs and bywords to keep you off the trail to finding out the truth of who you really are. You see what I'm saying? We bringing it, we are talking about it tonight. You know what I mean? Let me get that.
The Europeans claiming to be Jews are nothing more than Hebrew-speaking Gentiles.
Okay, now this is a quote from Gamal Abdel Nasser, the second president of Egypt back in 1952, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead.
The late president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, stated on television, "You, speaking to the Jews, will never be able to live here in peace because you left here black but came back white."
Whoa. Whoa, so this Ishmaelite is saying that the Jews left black but came back white. A bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, the so-called Jewish man. So when somebody like Deshaun Jackson of the Philadelphia Eagles say that, hey, I found out some information that we the real Jews, and he looks into history, they're scholars, and represents them along with what he probably learned, you know, from the I.S.U.P.K. watching videos online. So how is that damn devil going to say he got some low information or misinformation? We bringing it out so he can reference exactly where he got the information. He got it from Commander GEN.YAHANNA in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Since 1969, man. We've been bringing it out. We in the end times, man. So when a goddamn devil want to discredit us, man, we're going to show you. We're going to prove it by pertinent facts, man. Not feelings. Not your so-called low information. He's basically calling the brother a low life. You know what I mean? Somebody say low information. Well, why didn't you have him on the show and talk to him personally? Because you know he probably would have talked about something real heavy. Hell, what if Deshaun Jackson would have got Commander GEN.YAHANNA himself to speak on his behalf about his knowledge? You see what I'm saying? Then what that damn devil Kellerman gonna say then? Right? Hell, like Commander GEN.YAHANNA said, he probably could send an officer of 50. You know, Commander GEN.YAHANNA a busy man. You know, he probably got bigger fish to fry. But he probably could have sent an officer of 50 to cut that Kellerman in them scriptures and in his soul. You understand? There, that's real heavy. Any more on something?
We cannot accept you.
They can't accept them. That's why you see all that turmoil in the Middle East, in Palestine, and over there, because they know them people over there is illegitimate. It's a bastard dwelling in Ashdod. They know that their people wasn't put in slavery like black people. So they've been in that land for thousands of years. And they know who been coming in and out of that territory. And when black people, we was punished by the Most High, we fled into Africa. That's how we got into Africa, on the west coast of Africa. And them Hamites, they knew that we was a different people from them. So therefore, they went back and got the Romans and the Greeks, and they sold us to the Grecians. And that's how we got over here in America today, man. We never was no African American. We went through Africa. We don't come from Africa. You see what I'm saying? We belong in that land. The Christian church, so much to bastardize the word, they call it the promised land, that land in Canaan. That's really black, Hispanic, and Native Indians land over it, man. But right now you got some white boy over there with some yarmulke saying he's the child of God. That's a goddamn lie. White man's the devil, the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Gonna tell you this is a Jew with a goddamn toga on. Some Roman toga. They've been lying to you all the way around. And if you've been listening to Big Mama and she been brainwashed by that Christian church, it's time to get out of the Christian church and come to class here in Louisville, Kentucky. The hell with that, man. The hell with that garbage. We use that for a floor mat here in our school here in Louisville, Kentucky, man. That ain't nothing. You know what I mean? So don't listen to these people lying to you, man. Tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black. It was on ESPN. They talking about it all over the country. Don't get distracted by Jada and Will.
Right.
That's not the real big story here. The big story here is that the world should know that the real Jews are black. Not about what's happening in Jada and Will's bedroom. That's something they always try to do, is distract us with other topics. Because they know black people, we've been so hurt and harmed in this place. We live vicariously through the entertainers. So we want to know what's going on with their lives. You see what I'm saying? We want to know what's going on. Well, they said it was an open relationship, and who cares? You know what I'm saying? The Most High is going to judge that damn wicked ass bitch for what she did. And you said, well, Will, look here, man. If Will would have contacted Commander GEN.YAHANNA, he would have known that he could have more than one wife, and it would never been no arrangement of an open marriage. He just would have got him another rib, and maybe another rib after that. Hell, he could have had 100 ribs, 100 kids, and it would have been lawful according to God. You know what I mean? So don't get distracted by that. That's not the real big story here. The big story is that the real Jews are black, man. You are the children of Israel if you are black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, right? So we brought out some quotes from some very prominent people throughout history. We're going to talk about another person, Arthur Callister. He wrote the book, The 13th Tribe. Now, if I could, if you can look in that, what I sent you on that. This man right here is basically an Edomite, and he's saying that in order for the so-called Jewish man to be an Israelite, they would have had to have 13 tribes in the Bible, and it don't say nothing about no 13 tribes in the Bible, in the scriptures, right? We're going to bring out the history on that, if you can go to that Wikipedia thing.
Curtis said Wikipedia, the 13th tribe. The 13th tribe is a 1976 book by Arthur Koestler, in which the author advances the thesis that Ashkenazi Jews.
What Jews?
Ashkenazi Jews.
Now we brought out earlier, we talked about earlier, that Ashkenaz came from the lineage of Japheth, and Jew, which comes from Judah, which came from Abram, which came from Shem, is the lineage of Shem. So that don't even make sense. The Most High is not the author of confusion. Ashkenazi Jew. That don't even make sense. Go ahead.
Are not descendants from the historical Israelites of iniquity.
Right. So the so-called Jewish man is not the descendants according to that Bible. He's not the real Jew. Go ahead.
But from Khazars.
From who?
Khazars.
Right, he's from the Khazars, them Khazars, man. Go ahead.
A Turkic people.
Right. All in Turkey and Afghanistan and all that. Look, them people right there is a mix of Arabs, but really a lot of them is Edomites. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Kostler hypothesized that the Khazars who converted to Judaism in the 8th century migrated westward into Eastern Europe in the 12th and 13th centuries when the Khazar Empire was collapsing.
And that's what you got to understand. See, we go into the origins according to scholars, historical scholars, written many books. So these aren't our words. We getting facts, high information, mind you. You know what I mean? Coupled with the scriptures. We really didn't need to get that, but we're just doing it to validate what the scriptures already say. So when somebody calls himself an Ashkenazi Jew, they lying. Because Ashkenaz came through the lineage of Japheth and Shem. When they say anti-Shemitic or anti-Semitic, came through Shem. So they don't know what the hell they are.
Right.
That's the point. We do. Now, we starting to learn who we are, and that's why tonight's topic is so important. The world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black. Go ahead. On side of Christ. Oh, you got something else?
Yeah, what you said, see, what you bringing out so heavy, sir, like how you brought out the scripture about a bastard who shall dwell in Ashdod, because it just made more even sense when we just read that, because they don't know who they are, and that's what a bastard is.
Right.
Somebody that they don't know who they father is or their family is, they just going with the flow, basically.
On side of Christ. And that's the thing about it. You little bastard, you know what I'm saying? You ever heard somebody say that? They doing that to degrade you.
Right.
You know what I mean? He called himself Jewish. Man, can you imagine you getting a pay, you getting some money-ish? You get paid money-ish. Well, this is something like money. You know what I'm saying? Is it money or is it money?
Right.
That's food stamps. But you can't buy certain things with food stamps. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know that this ain't really, what he's saying is not true. Scriptures say that the Most High, I'm paraphrasing, is not the author of confusion. That's confusion. Call yourself an Ashkenaz Jew. So when on ESPN, when they talking about Max Kellerman talking about he's offended that the real Jews, this, that, he don't know if he can accept Deshaun Jackson's apology.
Right.
Why don't you go and find out where the man got his information before you judge that man and put him down and say it's low information? You know what I mean? And he implicated the I.S.U.P.K. because he said, and I'm quoting Slocky, I can't quote right now, but I'm paraphrasing. He said that I've been to New York. He's seen the brothers out there in New York on the street corners speaking, saying that the real Jews are black. They don't want that information to be disseminated across the earth. That's the point. But why would you even utter it? The Most High made you utter it. If the Most High can make a donkey utter certain things in Scripture, he can make your ass utter certain. You know what I'm saying? That's why that damn devil basically said that the real Jews are black, or he quoted it or put the information out there. Now people are calling into the I.S.U.P.K. They messaging us on Facebook, looking at our YouTube videos, because they trying to find out the truth, because that's the prophecy. Our people are going to gather ourselves together because we're a nation not desired. Right? It's real heavy. So if I could, let me get that quote. It's actually a screenshot from that book, The 13th Tribe, written by Arthur Colister, if you could.
This was written before the full extent of the Holocaust was known.
Right, and this is, he's about to talk about this information, the information that Max Keller should have asked Deshaun Jackson of the Philadelphia Eagles, where are you getting your information to say that you are the real children of Israel and the so-called Jewish man is not? Go ahead.
But that does not alter the fact that the large majority of surviving Jews in the world is of Eastern European.
Whoa, they what?
Eastern European.
Eastern European, that sound like white folks over there.
Right.
Go ahead.
And thus perhaps mainly of Khazar origin.
Khazar origin, that ain't black people. Go ahead.
If so, this would mean that their ancestors came not from the Jordan, but from the Volga.
Mm-hmm.
Not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus.
Not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus Mountains.
Khan.
Wow, up there in Georgia, Russia, the Caucasus Mountains. When you go into the book of Obadiah and talk about who lived in the clefts of the rock, that was the white man. You know what I mean? He lived in the clefts of the rock like a damn animal, man.
Right.
Eating the bugs out of his garment.
Caveman.
The caveman, the Geico caveman in real life, man. And you think he's the children of God? No, he was created by the Most High God to be a servant to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And now he's trying to hide his identity because he don't want to fulfill his true role in life. You see what I'm saying? The hell with that, man. We don't subscribe to that garbage and that lie, man. Tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black.
Right.
Ain't some damn white boy. Go ahead.
Once believed to be the cradle of the Aryan race.
The Aryan race, you know what I mean? That's why Hitler, in a way, was qualified, because he heard the stories from his people, who, you know what I mean, who was who. He knew that them people claiming to be the children of Israel were not the children of Israel. The president of Egypt, Nasser, knew that the Jews left black and came back white. You see what I'm saying? So we bringing out this historical information, not our own mind, our own heart. We bringing out the information along with the scriptures. Go ahead.
And that genetically they are more closely related to the Hun.
Like Attila the Hun, you know, up there in the Mongolia and all that. Go ahead.
The Uyghur, Magyar tribes that then to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
So they not the true Israelites. They not the true Jews like they claiming to be.
Right.
You know, I don't care what kind of traditions and what they try to read. They might try to read our ancient language and all that stuff like that. They not the real Jews. So for them to ask that brother Deshaun Jackson of the Philadelphia Eagles to apologize is a goddamn joke, man. They need to apologize to him. And they need to apologize to all black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people, man, for lying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They've been lying all this goddamn time saying that they the real Jews. Real Jews are black. We brought that out in Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Jude of Mortar, the gates thereof language, they are black unto the ground. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no white boy black. You know what I'm saying? He get burned in the sun. Turn as red as a goddamn lobster. You know what I mean? Any more on that?
Should this turn out to be the case, then the term anti-Semitism will become void of meaning.
Right, because it don't make no sense. Anti-Semitic, what they're trying to say is anti-Shemitic, meaning you against Shem, the lineage of Shem, when they say they Ashkenazi Jew. So that don't make sense when Judah came from the lineage of Shem and Ashkenaz came from the lineage of Japheth. You see the lie in that? If you don't know anything else, make sure you remember that. Go into the book. We let the people know in the book of Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1 through 3 who Ashkenaz was. And then we talked about the lineage of Shem in the book of Genesis chapter 11 and verse 10 and 27. That's who Abraham came through. Now, they come through the lineage of Shem, so why they call themselves Ashkenaz?
Right.
But see, in the book of Genesis chapter 25 and verse 25, there was a separation. Two nations was in that womb. Two manner of people. The so-called white people and the children of Israel. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's why it says two manner of people. You was going to have this freak show, this albino freak show going on the earth because everybody else had melanin in their skin. And you get this white boy that came from the same womb. You know what I mean? But the Most High, he said that two nations was going to be coming from that womb. Two nations mean two races of people. So that also shows you that a nation is a race of people, not a landmass. You see what I mean? Because how can a landmass come out the womb? Two nations in the Bible means races of people. Two manner of people. White people and the children of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So that's why it's been a secret They don't want us to know our true heritage, because once we learn that, we can follow the laws of God and we can get the kingdom. We can rule and reign with Christ here on earth. Christ is coming back, and he's coming back with a vesture dipped in blood. For the liars, you know what I mean? You've been lying to black people, telling us we African American. We Indians. We Spicks. Calling us all these proverbs and bywords. Uncle Ben, ain't your mama. Julio. You know what I'm saying? Trying to put us down. Blackfoot and all this. You know what I'm saying? We named ourselves, but see, they trying to make mockery of that. You know what I mean? They trying to make mockery of who we are, instead of letting us, you know, say who we are. They want to try to come up against it to keep the lie going. So if I could, let's go back to the scriptures. Let me get the book of Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 8. Because see, this right here, you got to know this, man, because every other nation of people on the planet, race of people, know who they are. The Russians come from Russia. The French come from French. You know what I mean? Chinese come from China. Black man, where you come from? You come from the country black? you called a color. You don't even have no heritage. We talked about that we would lose our heritage in the book of Jeremiah chapter 17, 1 through 4. Let me get there.
Isaiah 34 and 8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses.
That's when you're going to pay something back. The Most High is going to pay something back. Go ahead.
For the controversy of Zion.
The controversy of Zion is this: that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the real Jews. That's what they don't want to get out. They don't put that in black history. They're not going to tell you that in the Black Lives Matter movement. They're not going to reveal to you. Now the Most High is making the heathens utter, even on their secular television shows, ESPN, that the real Jews are black. You're hearing all kind of entertainers now acknowledging that, hey, maybe we are the real Jews. They done heard the I.S.U.P.K. and now they coming out with it. You know, they kind of scared to admit that they learned from the I.S.U.P.K., but they'll say, man, I think we the real Jews. Ice Cube, Kendrick Lamar, Kodak Black. We even, Waka Flocka Flame even came to camp, one of the I.S.U.P.K. camps, so he know who he is. He's a Gadite, but he don't want to admit it because he want to stay in his kingdom and make the money. You know what I mean? Now it's coming out on ESPN. You thought you tried to tune out those YouTube videos and watch secular TV. Now you on secular TV and you seeing that they talking about the Jews are black. Now you can't run from it. So what you need to do is contact the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, and the commander GEN.YAHANNA. Get in contact with the brothers, man. We will learn you. We'll learn you. We'll game you up. Let you know what's what in these scriptures by facts. So you don't have to listen to people like Max Kellerman lie to you and say, you need to apologize. We the real Jews. We bless the God. No, you bless the God, black man, black woman. Your kids is blessed to God if you follow them laws, statutes, and commandments in that Bible. But if you don't follow them laws, statutes, and commandments in the Bible, you're going to live like the Gentiles, man. That Christian philosophy and ideology got you in error. You think that the Gentile, you think you a Gentile. And you think that the Jew is the white boy. That's a goddamn lie, man. They don't fit the curses or the blessings in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Read that whole chapter. It talks about, it's like a signpost, right? It's characteristics of who the real Jews are. Matter of fact, if I could, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. Let's see if this happened to the so-called Jewish man. It did not. We know the truth in I.S.U.P.K. Check this out.
Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Now, okay, this don't make sense to the unlearned person. They think that Egypt was that desert over there in Africa. Right. How are you going to go through a desert in a ship?
Right.
When you do an etymology search on words, you realize that Egypt means bondage. So replace the word Egypt with bondage, if you could. And read it again.
Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into bondage again with ships.
So, if you ever read that Bible, you know that this is Moses talking to the children of Israel. Now, they just got delivered out of the so-called landmass of Egypt, Mizraim. But he's giving them a prophecy saying that you're going to go into bondage again, but there's going to be a unique way in which you're going to go. And that's with ships, cargo slave ships. Who did that happen to? Did that happen to the so-called Jewish man? No. That only happened to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Because the Latino tribes went into bondage with ships also. A lot of our brothers was shipped over into Europe. Read the story about Squanto, a Gadite, Native Indian. He was shipped over there to Europe and served in slavery. And then they brought him back. Read that. That didn't happen to the so-called Jewish man. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, drop that and let's get the book of Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13 through 14. We've been over here since 1620. It was dropped in Jamestown, Virginia. It's 2020. That's 400 years. Let's read this prophecy in the Bible. If I could.
Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs.
Right. So is this our land over here? Nope. Because our land is in Canaan. The Most High gave us that land, that same land that the President Nasser said that the Jews left black and came back white. Ashdod, in which a bastard is dwelling. Go ahead.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
How many years?
400 years.
So, if we was brought over here in 1620, add 400 years to that, what is that? What is that?
2020.
Right, it's 2020. That's 400 years. Now, we're not giving dates on when Christ is coming back, but this is the prophecy. It's funny how 400 years, now you got the coronavirus. Now you got the social uproars. Now you got the truth coming out on ESPN that the real Jews are black. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander GEN.YAHANNA are the true prophets of God. Go ahead.
We can't forget GEN.YAHANNA was on, Commander GEN.YAHANNA was on the news, breaking it down.
Commander GEN.YAHANNA is on the news, Most High in Christ. You know, we are here, now the news team is coming looking for the I.S.U.P.K. They're going to be looking for us here in Louisville pretty soon. They was interviewing Captain DeGauga Bar out there in St. Louis with his food drive. Like, who are y'all? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Because we are peculiar people. Right? Now, here's another. Go, if you could, drop that and go to Exodus chapter 12 and verse 30. Because some people will say, well, that's talking about the 400 and something year captivity in the land of Egypt. But it don't say in Egypt on that one.
Exodus 12 and 30. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt.
In where?
In Egypt.
So this is talking about in Egypt, the land of Mizraim. Go ahead.
For there was not a house where there was not one dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people.
Okay.
Both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve Yahweh as ye have said.
Right. Is this Exodus 12 and 40?
I'm sorry, 30.
Sorry.
Exodus 12 and 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
So that was 430 years in Egypt. Now this other 400 is talking about another dispensation of time. It's not talking about the same one. We brought out, or Slaki, we talked about in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68, where we was going to be brought into Egypt again with ships, bondage. This is talking about another captivity. You understand? Now, to further prove that point, and the reason why you don't know you are the real Jew, because you was made a slave, and a slave don't know his heritage, you're going to lose your lineage, but you're going to get it back. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 7 through 8. White white man is the devil the Bible speaks of.
Where we at, sir?
Jeremiah 23, 7 through 8. He's the devil because he's the one that lied to you and told you you was African American, that you was black, you was colored, you was a monkey, a jigaboo, spirit chucker. All these different terms and bywords he called you. He told you everybody but who you was, which is the real Jew in that Bible. Go ahead.
Jeremiah 23 and 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh.
Saith who?
Yahweh.
This is the words of the Most High. Go ahead.
That they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Okay, so he's saying that they're not going to talk about Egypt. He saved them and took them from Egypt and delivered the children of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, from Egypt. But he's going to be another story. Go ahead.
But Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel.
The seed of who?
The house of Israel.
So this is the same people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Go ahead.
Out of the North Country.
Out of the what?
The North Country.
Where are we at right now?
North America.
We in North America. The Most High is going to bring blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians out of the North Country, North America. So this is a different dispensation of time. We talked about 430 years in Egypt, and we talked about 400 years out of another place. Now, we're not setting dates, but it's awfully fishy, awfully strange how 400 years this plague is coming upon this land, just like the plagues of Egypt. You see what I'm saying? The Most High got us, man. We just need to get in line and fall in line with his laws, statutes, and commandments.
That's right.
And that can only be taught in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under command of God. Since 1969, man, we've been giving out these pertinent facts to save our people, man. That's true salvation. Not in that Christian church that you could splash the blood of some homosexual white Jesus all over you and be saved, man. That sounds very homosexual anyway. I want to splash the blood all over me. You know what I'm saying? That's some gay stuff. We bringing out these facts. We let you know tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black. They brought it out on ESPN. You hear it here in Louisville, Kentucky. One West UPK Louisville Facebook page, baby. Any more on that?
And from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
We're going to be back in the land of Canaan, man. Back in that promised land where that bastard is dwelling, Ashdod, in Israel. Even that president of Egypt said it. Jews left black and came back white. So he know they ain't supposed to be in that land. That's why they got so much turmoil in the Middle East. Palestinians and all that. That ain't their land either. The Most High set it up that way to frustrate them people in that land. So the world know that that's not really the children and the blessed people of God. Once we learn to live by God's laws, he's going to deliver us. And it's happening every day. It's accelerating. Here in I.S.U.P.K, we get brothers and sisters in every day. In Louisville, Kentucky, we about to blow up, baby. We about to have plenty of people here to live right before the Most High God. And if I could, we're going to close it out with the book of Numbers, chapter 34, verse 1 through 2. That land, our heritage, belongs to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, who are the real Jews, not the Jewish man. Go ahead.
Numbers, chapter 34 and 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall unto you for an inheritance, even the land of Canaan with the coast thereof. So,
our heritage and our identity is connected to a land, the land of Canaan, which is over there in Israel. And that land mass that they have on the map, that is not the true landmass. It's a lot bigger than that. You start including Saudi Arabia and all that stuff over there, that's really our land too. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know that those people living over there. You got white people living amongst colored people all in that region. Arabs, Ishmaelites, you name it. We're going to tell you something here in I.S.U.P.K, man. Who you really are. So when these damn Edomites say that Deshaun Jackson is wrong, he should apologize, it's sad. Because the brother really was right. I just wish that he would have had a priest and prophet in the I.S.U.P.K. by his side to validate his statement. Tonight's topic, the world's biggest secret, the real Jews are black. They talked about it on ESPN. We're talking about it tonight. We gave you some heavy scriptures. Go back and watch the video. Share the video. Man, you got to know this. You somebody important. You need to know who you are. Once you know who you are, you know what to do. And that's live by the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. And with that said, I'm going to pass the class over to priest and officer. I'm going to wind Gabar.
Security announcements with the I.S.U.P.K. started at 1 West on 25th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When the new brother and sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes was a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in the Hebrew, 10% of every penny of any increase Yahweh gives you, give to the teacher or treasury department. Priest fund, free offering for priests, not mandatory, so amount you would like, upcoming holy convocations, at the 51st annual Passover. Just stay in tune with your camp leaders, see when it's going to be. Give a courtesy salute to the brothers out in the stream, I.S.U.P.K, Majah, Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrak.
That's Matar. Courtesy salute to the sisters watching the stream. I.S.U.P.K, Majah, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrak. Class is missed.